Harmy, very unsatisfactory in some ways for some people. Another 2-day win. It just didn't feel quite right in some ways, but it's no fault of the England players who did wheel out the Bazball approach in many ways in difficult conditions. Steve Smith was gracious enough to say that England had played the conditions far better than them. And there are people saying that it's definitely going to be a stay of execution. If it had been 5-0 and Stokes, Key, McCullum won all three, 2 out of 3 would have gone. But a victory is a victory, and you know that better than me.
Yeah, I mean, a win's a win, and we've been critical of this England team and the management and everything that goes with it. But we have to praise the way they went about their job. They found a way to come into that third innings, and that third innings made a massive difference setting up. I think the way the game was panning out, even on day one, you were thinking this is set up for England's grandstand finish of chasing. No matter what it is, I was expecting 220, and I'd still back England with clear roadmap, clear plan in front of them, and the total that they need to get. Bang! I think England will get this. So I fancied England, right from the sort of the very start, and even talking to John Norman at the end of the first innings, and I said 46 runs behind on even in a low scoring game, England aren't out of this by a long shot. So I was pleased they got themselves in a position to win. Pleased them, they won. The pitch was unsatisfactory. It's been announced that the ICC have said it's unsatisfactory. I thought some of the batting was unsatisfactory as well. I really do. I think some of the batting was poor. The bowlers, I would say it's a bit of a cop out when people say, "Oh, they didn't have to work hard for their wicket." As a bowler, you always have to work hard for your wicket. You're setting batters up. You're moving them around the crease. I think they were assisted very much off the surface. So I don't feel sorry for the groundsman, because at the end of the day, he produced a surface that had 10 mils of grass on. He knew what he was doing. He knew that the wicket was going to do a little bit. I don't think he legislated for the fact that batters' techniques now are nowhere near as what they were 2 years ago, 4 years ago, or 10 years ago. So he's going to pay the price. Cricket Australia are paying the price. But take nothing away from that. England needed that victory, and then now set themselves up to go to Sydney with a view that I think it's make or break from the management point of view. Because if England can win the Test match, all of a sudden we're not papering over any cracks. England got their preparation wrong. They've admitted it. They've owned it. England had a plan, right? I listened to Rob Key with Nasser and others. I thought Keysy was brilliant. Again, he had a plan. England had what they believed was a plan over the course of 2 to 4 years to go to Australia. Whether the plan works or it's not, it's better to have a plan than maybe winging it. The people saying they're winging it. I don't think they winged it. But I think from a plan point of view, England had one. It just didn't work. It hasn't worked. They tried something different to what we've done for the 4 years previous, 4 years previous, 4 years previous. And I think when people are talking about reviews, I mean, they talked about a review of the Ashes. Forget reviews of the Ashes. England possibly need to review the whole game when we've just been given 500 million to change it. That's something we possibly need to review. It's England, the England cricket team, the Ashes. This is the same as what happens for every 4 years. So don't review what's happening every 4 years. Don't make Rob Key. I'm still unsure on the McCullum stuff. But don't make the same mistake we're doing every 4 years, sacking a captain and a coach. Identify why this is the problem and try and work with them. So if our men's director of English cricket is telling us that county cricket's not fit for purpose, don't sack him over it. Listen to him about it and see if we can do some changes. These are things that I think we need to make better, to make us in a better position to produce players to go and play at this part of the world, which has been the most difficult place in the world to tour for England over the course of the last 50 years. There's a lot in this defeat. And I think some of the stuff that Keezy said to others and Nasser were simple. We had a plan and we didn't get it quite right.
Yeah, okay. Well, they say that a bad plan's better than no plan. And just a final word on the poor old beleaguered MCG groundsman. His plan was to leave more grass than usual because of extreme high temperatures forecast for days 3, 4, and 5. So he wanted the pitch to last. The lesson that should be taken from that is you will never be marked down on a pitch which is a ploughed field or a dust bowl on days 3, 4, and 5. Concentrate on it being at its best for the first 2 days. So a great pity that. Evidently the pitch was great on the 3 days that there was no Test cricket. Harmy, I understand. I listened to that podcast as well with others and Nasser and Rob Key. And to be fair to Rob Key, he did 4 hours of media that day, including their podcast. He speaks really convincingly. And he said this was our plan. But there were times as well that he was somewhat less than convincing. The game against the Lions at Lilac Hill, he there was nothing convincing about that. He thought, well, we're going to be in the same part of the country. We can control the narrative. If somebody needs a few more overs or somebody gets out early, then we can put them in again, and but control. But I'm sorry to do this to you, but I have to remind you of the things you said before this plan. You
Yeah.
said that playing 3 one-day games in New Zealand in October was asking for trouble. You said that not playing a single proper warm-up game was asking for trouble. You saw large gaping holes in England's plan. It's all well and good to say that they didn't get it right, you know, but you could see quite obviously, and I don't want to line you up for more conflict with with your mate Rob Key, but you could see great gaping holes in the plan before it came to execution time, and you weren't alone.
No, and that's the thing that annoys me most. That why is this not being picked up? And this is the problem. This is what I was trying to allude to when I made the yes man comment, was that you've got a coach, you're an absolute legend in New Zealand, and your plan was to do some sort of your preparation plan. Part of your preparation plan was to play 3 ODIs and 3 T20s and use that as your Ashes plan. Going to New Zealand at that time in the year, and when we were commentating, Dan McCarty and one or two others, Ian Smith, when we were there a year ago, were saying, you come to that time of the year, it'd be like coming to England in April. It's freezing cold. It always rains. The pitches are doing a bit. Hence, England didn't bat more than 36 overs for 3 games in each innings. So I am saying they had a plan. Rob Key said to Nasser and others, they got their plan wrong, but they had one. I've got no problem with the plan in place. The problem I had is there was a lot of people from the outside before the event were saying, I mean, at Lilac Hill, it's not going to bounce as much as anywhere near as much as the Optus. Going to New Zealand, all these things were picking holes in it. So when I was saying who is around at the table and saying these sort of things to the hierarchy, that was what was worrying me more than anything else. So when I was criticised for the comments that I made, it was more to do with who's basically standing up and going, hold on, the Lilac Hill's nowhere near Optus. English bowlers, Josh Hall, Mitch Stanley, these are not, they're young, Eddie Jack, they're young kid bowlers who are in the infancy of their first class careers. They're not Australian hard nose in your face going to be, because that's what we're going to get when we get to Optus and beyond. All this stuff that I think a lot of us, battle hardened Ashes former cricketers were saying going into that series, that who was saying it to the management, who was saying it to the top end of ECB to say, right, your plan is, yeah, fine, go with it. But you've got to be careful because this might happen, because that might happen, because that might happen. And we're not smart after the event because like you said, we were all saying it before. So that's why I was comfortable saying it. That's why I've got no problem saying it. Because at the end of the day, England haven't gotten it right. It's now about, can they get it right long term for the future? And is it the right? Are these people the right people to take England forward? I think 75% of it, 80% of it is. What I mean by that is, if we're going to start sacking captains, coaches, and directors of cricket every 4 years, we're going in a vicious circle. And Ashley Giles, Chris Silverwood, Sir Andrew Strauss, we've been here. We've seen this film, right? Whoever's next, whether it's who's in directors of cricket roles at the minute, Alex Stewart, Marcus North, whoever, are they going to get sacked in 4 years? No. If there's a problem, listen and try and sort the problem out. And there is a glaring, obvious problem at this moment in time that our Lions trip young lads, some very, very inexperienced bowlers. We picked 16 players on a touring party, of which 3 bowlers were never, ever going to get through 5 test matches. We had a captain who got through 3 test matches in 5 in the summer because of the workload schedule. We can't lose him. I'm looking at this going forward and going, for 2 years, we were the best team in the world. We had the best outlook. We had a complete change of narrative of where our test team was. And then all of a sudden, in the last 18 months, we've come up against 2 good sides. Is it simple as, oh, we're just not good enough? That could be the simple conclusion. Or is it, did we take our eye off the ball? Did we become complacent? Did we become sort of, we told you so and this is how cricket is now? But actually it's not. When you come to these parts of the world, like India and in Australia, when it is tough cricket, when you're not prepared for it and it's not right, all of these things come. And do you know what? I think we've been looked down at quite a lot in the last sort of 18 months, 2 years. And people are maybe it's having their say and their go now because there's so much talent in this team. There's so much, I think, goodwill for this team to succeed because it's been a brilliant ride. But unfortunately, what happened? And that would be the big thing for me because I want to see Rob Key, Brendan McCullum, Ben Stokes take this team on for the next 4 years, 8 years, and go back to Australia and put the wrongs right, what they've just done, because their outlook on cricket is brilliant. But are we good enough? And that was something I think we need to find out, because that's what happens at the end of Ashes series. By sacking captains, coaches, and directors of cricket, just going in a vicious circle. But if they're not the right people, we have to realise why we're in this position again. But I think they are. I think they are. And I think this test match is a huge test match on that, because if we win, don't believe it's Zach Crawley 3-2, it's a good result, because it's not. But if we lose, the narrative at the end of it is we've gone to Australia with great hope, again, not against the greatest Australia side, and we've lost 4-1 and we've won a test match on a 50-50 pitch.